What if everything you've learned about building a successful venture, about competition being agile was actually, well, leading you down the wrong path? What if the real secret to shaping the future isn't just about doing things better, but doing something entirely new? Today, we're inviting you to step into a pretty contrarian worldview. We're embarking on a deep dive into Peter Thiel's foundational text, 0 to 1, Building the Future. Our mission. Basically, to unpack Thiel's powerful argument that real progress, lasting value, it comes from creating something totally from scratch, from 0 to 1. Not just copying or incrementally improving what's already there, which he calls 1 to N. And just so you know, we're pulling all our insights directly from a comprehensive summary of Thiel's key ideas. We want to stay really true to his, let's say, provocative vision. So yeah, get ready to maybe challenge some deeply ingrained conventional wisdom about success and competition.
It's definitely a compelling journey. Thiel's thinking has clearly shaped, well, a lot of Silicon Valley, hasn't it? And it's not just business advice, like you said. He's really laying out a whole philosophy for how to create real impactful change. Most of us, we're taught to think in terms of improvement, maybe incremental steps. But he pushes us to aim way beyond that.
Okay, so to really get his vision, we have to start with that core distinction he makes. 2 kinds of progress. How does he break that down? Why is that starting point just so vital for understanding everything else he argues?
Right. Thiel brilliantly dissects progress into these 2 forms. First, there's horizontal progress. He calls this 1 to N, which basically means going from something that exists to lots more of that something. Think globalization, right?
Right.
Taking a successful business model, maybe a restaurant chain, and just replicating it everywhere, or just producing more cars. It's copying, it's scaling what works.
Okay, copying and scaling, got it.
Then there's vertical progress. That's the 0 to 1. And this is about true innovation, creating something entirely new, something that just didn't exist before. It's usually driven by technology, by some kind of novel insight. It's literally going from nothing to something unique.
So it's not just about building a better smartphone, maybe tweaking the camera. It's inventing the smartphone in the first place.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. And he gives that famous example, right? The next Bill Gates won't build another operating system.
Yeah. The point isn't really to discourage people from making operating systems. It's to hammer home that, real groundbreaking innovation comes from forging a totally unexplored path. If your goal is just to be, the next Google, you're kind of inherently limiting yourself to that 1 to N thinking. You're just competing in a space someone else created.
Instead of making a whole new space.
Yeah. It forces you, the listener, to ask, are you just aiming to refine something that's already out there? Or are you actually looking to create a completely new solution, something that shifts the whole game? Okay, now here's where Thiel really starts pushing back against some common ideas. He looks back at the dot-com boom and then the crash. And instead of just seeing, disaster, he pulls out some really counterintuitive lessons. Lessons that kind of fly in the face of what many folks in the startup world treat as gospel now, like being agile, failing fast. What did he learn back then that he thinks still applies today?
Right. This is a really crucial part of his argument. Thiel noticed that many of these supposed lessons from the dot-com bust were things like make incremental advances, stay lean and agile, maybe focus on product, not sales. But he argues these are actually kind of dangerous half-truths, especially when you're trying for that true 0 to 1 innovation. He believes that this obsession with small steps, with agility, without a clear, unique, long-term vision, well, it can lead straight to failure. So from that dot-com era, he concluded that real innovation actually demands boldness, big, bold moves, and meticulous long-term planning, and crucially, unique differentiation right from the get-go.
So it's like being nimble is great, but only if you know where you're going. And if that destination is actually truly different from everyone else's?
Precisely. Agility is valuable, no doubt. But agility towards what? That's the key question. If it's just reacting to what competitors are doing or pivoting constantly without a really unique value proposition, you could just end up chasing trends that disappear. And Thiel also stresses something often downplayed in tech circles, sales. How critical sales and distribution are right alongside product development.
Yeah, right. The idea that a great product sells itself.
He said that's basically a myth. So the risk he points out is that focusing only on being agile, on iterating, without that unique vision or real value, it can lead to a quick death, not a quick win. Many of us are taught, iterate, iterate, iterate. But Thiel is suggesting maybe that's not enough if you don't have that truly unique, bold plan from day one.
Okay, this next idea, this might make some listeners a bit uncomfortable. It really flips our usual thinking about markets. Thiel argues, quote, all happy companies are different, and he actually takes a positive view of monopolies. How? How does that work? Isn't competition good?
Yeah, this is probably one of Peel's most striking and controversial arguments. He deliberately turns that conventional wisdom upside down. He contends that the truly successful companies, the really happy ones financially, are essentially monopolies. Now, he doesn't mean the mustache-twirling, predatory kind the regulators go after. He means companies like Google and Search, maybe early Facebook and social media. They created something so new or so much better or just fundamentally different that they don't face intense direct competition, at least not for a while. And this lack of direct competition lets them capture sustained profits because they've carved out this unique space.
So making real sustained profit is actually the sign that you've achieved something 0 to 1.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the indicator for him. And conversely, he points to markets with tons of competition. Like the airline industry is his classic example. Fierce rivalry just erodes profits for everybody. Margins get driven down to almost nothing. Everyone's just fighting over the same pie. And he introduces this idea, the ideology of competition. He argues that our society, our schools, everything often rewards people for just being the best at something conventional, beating others in a known game.
Right, like getting the best grades in a class everyone takes.
Exactly. But this constant battle for market share, he thinks, can actually stifle genuine innovation. Companies get so focused on fighting rivals for existing value that they stop trying to create new value. They end up looking alike, fighting over tiny differences instead of pursuing big new ideas. So it forces you, the listener, to think, are you jumping into a crowded pool where you'll just fight for scraps? Or are you creating your own unique, defensible swimming lane where you offer something exceptional and new?
Okay, so if we're aiming for something unique, something that could become a kind of monopoly, how do we make sure it lasts? Because first doesn't always mean best, right? Thiel talks about last mover advantage, and he even pushes back against the whole idea of luck playing a huge role. What's going on there?
Yeah, this gets right into long-term thinking and intentionality. Thiel's concept of last mover advantage is a direct challenge to the more common first mover advantage.
Mm.
He argues that lasting value isn't just about being first out the gate. It's about combining strong growth with serious longevity. It's about building the definitive, durable position in a market. The really critical question for any venture, in his view, isn't just what are next quarter's earnings, but will this company still be thriving, still be dominant 10, 20 years from now?
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about the initial splash.
Not at all. Think about all those first movers that ended up flaming out. Early social media sites before Facebook really locked it down, or search engines before Google became in. Well, Google. Thiel saying, basically, don't just focus on winning the sprint. Make sure you're set up to win the marathon.
That really shifts the perspective, puts a lot more weight on that initial vision and planning. And how does luck fit in? Or rather, how does he argue against it? Because you hear all the time, right? Startup success is timing, talent, and just sheer luck.
He tackles that head on with this idea he calls, you are not a lottery ticket. Thiel argues pretty fiercely against the narrative that success is mostly random chance. He points to founders like Steve Jobs, famously rejected focus groups, right? Executing these incredibly detailed long-term plans for products people didn't even know they wanted. For Thiel, examples like that show that it's really hard work, deep foresight, and a super clear, well-articulated vision that underpins sustainable success. It's not just stumbling into good fortune. So connecting it back, it's all about intentionality. Are you just rolling the dice, hoping for luck, or are you meticulously planning to create and dominate a future you envision?
Okay, this next idea is really fascinating. Thiel believes there are still secrets out there, things waiting to be discovered. Not that everything important is already known. What exactly does he mean by a secret? And how does finding one lead to those 0 to 1 opportunities?
Yeah, the concept of secrets is really core to his whole approach to entrepreneurship. Thiel argues that the world still holds these undiscovered truths, untapped opportunities. They're just hidden in plain sight sometimes. And the critical part of this is his claim that believing all the important stuff is already known actually limits progress. It makes us complacent. If we assume everything big has been figured out, we stop looking, we stop questioning assumptions. So entrepreneurs, he says, should be actively hunting for these overlooked secrets. Hidden assumptions in an industry, unaddressed customer needs, maybe unconventional solutions to old problems. These secrets become the foundation for great businesses, the truly 0 to 1 companies. It's about having a unique insight, seeing something that others just aren't seeing.
So it's about questioning the status quo, digging deeper than the surface level to find that hidden truth. And how does he connect that to something called the power law?
Exactly right, on the secrets. And these secrets are often the source of ventures that can generate, like, exponential returns, which leads directly to the power law. You might know it as the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, but applied more extremely. Thiel emphasizes that in venture capital, and therefore in building valuable companies, a tiny number of investments or ventures will generate the vast majority of the returns. Like 1 or 2 companies in a portfolio might return more than all the others combined. Now, this isn't just a neat statistic. For founders and investors, he says, it's a crucial strategic insight. It means if you're spreading your efforts thinly across a dozen pretty good ideas, you're probably missing the chance to go all in on the 1 or 2 that could truly change the game and deliver those massive power law returns. It demands radical focus, identify that potential breakthrough, that secret insight, and bet big on it. It encourages you, the listener, to look beyond the obvious, question the assumptions in your own field, and concentrate your energy where it can create genuinely outsized value, not just, average results.
Okay, so even if you find a brilliant secret, you have this amazing idea, this long-term vision. None of it actually happens without the right people, right? And the right way to get your product to market. Thiel has some really strong views on foundations, the team, the culture, and especially sales.
Oh, absolutely. For Thiel, the foundations are just paramount. He stresses how crucial that founding team is and the culture they build right from day one. He famously compares picking co-founders to getting married, which tells you how serious he thinks it is. It's not just about skills lining up. It's about deep interpersonal compatibility, a shared vision, shared values. He advocates for keeping boards small and cohesive, having unified, full-time teams so everyone's pulling in the same direction, fully committed. Misalignment is deadly. The whole PayPal Mafia story is its prime example, right?
Yeah.
This incredibly loyal, mission-driven team built on shared history and intense collaboration. He also stresses that recruiting shouldn't be outsourced early on. Founders need to own it to ensure everyone fits that core culture.
And then there's sales, which, yeah, you mentioned he thinks tech often gets wrong. That whole, if you build it, they will come idea.
Yeah, he completely dismantles that myth in the section. If you build it, will they come? He really criticizes what he sees as Silicon Valley's common aversion to sales and marketing. This sort of naive belief that superior technology just wins on its own. He insists, flat out, no product sells itself, period. Active sales, clever marketing, building effective distribution channels, including things like viral marketing if it fits much. These are absolutely fundamental for any business. Doesn't matter how groundbreaking your tech is. If you can't articulate its value, if you can't reach your customers, if you can't actually get it into their hands effectively, it's basically worthless in the market. So it raises a really important question for anyone building something. Have you truly thought through how your amazing idea will actually reach its audience? And who are the people who will be on that journey with you, not just to build it, but to actually sell and deliver it?
And thinking about the future, Thiel also touches on the relationship between people and machines. Man and machine, he calls it. He doesn't seem to buy into the simple, robots are taking all the jobs narrative, does he?
No, not really. He offers a much more synergistic view. Thiel kind of pushes back against the common fear of machines simply replacing humans across the board. He explains that computers and people actually have complementary strengths. Computers are amazing at processing huge data sets, doing repetitive tasks perfectly, finding patterns we'd miss. Humans, though, bring judgment, creativity, complex problem solving, intuition. Stuff machines are still very far from replicating. So the future, he argues, belongs to businesses that figure out how to harness both, combining that raw computational power with human insight and judgment. That synergy unlocks totally new opportunities for innovation that neither humans nor machines could achieve alone. It's about augmentation, make each other better, not simple replacement.
Okay, so Thiel also looks at where innovation has maybe gone wrong, trying to draw lessons from failures. And he has this unique take on the type of person who actually leads these 0 to 1 ventures. What can we learn from something like the clean tech boom and bust?
Right, the clean tech boom is a big case study for him. It shows why even really well-intentioned innovation, stuff aimed at solving huge problems, can fail spectacularly. He observed that to succeed in a field like that, your technology can't just be incrementally better. It needs to be like an order of magnitude better, 10 times better than what exists, drastically superior. And you also need perfect timing. You need a defensible starting market niche you can dominate. You need the right team, obviously, and you need effective distribution. It's a whole package. He actually boils this down into 7 key questions he thinks every founder must answer honestly. Do you have truly breakthrough tech? Is the timing right now? Are you starting with a small monopoly in a specific market? Do you have the right team? Do you have a way to deliver the product? Can you create a durable market position long term? And finally, have you identified the unique secret or insight others missed? Neglecting even one of those, he suggests, can sink you, no matter how brilliant the core idea might seem.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just the big idea, it's this entire meticulously thought out framework for execution. And then the founders themselves, he describes them as kind of paradoxical figures.
Indeed, he calls it the founder's paradox. Thiel observes that the people who successfully lead these 0 to 1 companies often possess really extreme, sometimes contradictory traits. They don't fit neatly into statistical averages. Think about, the stereotype of the founder, who might be seen as incredibly difficult personally, yet inspires fierce loyalty and dedication from their team. Or someone who is deeply analytical and data-driven, but also relies on gut feelings, almost a mystical intuition about where the market is going. These leaders, he notes, often embody these paradoxes. They might be introverted and charismatic, intensely focused and broadly curious. They stand out. They're not average. And he argues that's often why they're able to achieve something radically new, something 0 to 1. It connects back to the bigger picture. The path to true innovation isn't usually smooth or conventional, and the people who blaze those trails are often unconventional themselves in really profound ways.
Right. So as we start to wrap up this deep dive into 0 to 1, it's really clear. Thiel isn't just handing out business tips. It feels more like a whole philosophy for progress, doesn't it? A radical challenge to how we usually think about building the future. What are the absolute key takeaways you think our listeners should walk away with from all this?
Yeah, definitely a philosophy. I think the core lessons are really powerful, and they all connect. First, grasp that true innovation is 0 to 1 creation, not just one-to-N copying, and that monopolies, the good kind, are often a sign you've created unique value, while intense competition can actually destroy profit and even vision. Second, you need a bold, singular vision, and plan meticulously for the long haul. Don't just rely on iteration or luck. Third, actively hunt for those secrets, the unique truths and opportunities others are missing. They're the foundation of valuable companies. And remember the power law. Focus your energy on the few things that can yield massive results. Fourth, never ever underestimate the founding team and culture. Treat co-founder selection like marriage. Build for long-term durability from day one. Fifth, get over any aversion to sales. Sales, marketing, distribution, they're absolutely non-negotiable. No product sells itself no matter how great it is. And finally, embrace that synergy between human strengths and technological power, and recognize that the founders who pull off 0 to 1 are often exceptional, sometimes paradoxical individuals. Difference can drive impact.
And that leads perfectly into Thiel's final message in the book, right? In that last chapter, Stagnation or Singularity. He basically says the future isn't set in stone. It's something we actively create. And to avoid just stagnating, founders and maybe all of us need to strive to create these singular, truly new things, making the future not just incrementally better, but fundamentally different through that kind of vision and innovation that goes from 0 to 1. It really feels like a call to action, doesn't it? Not just for entrepreneurs, but for anyone thinking about progress. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. What secrets might you be overlooking right now in your own field, in your work, or even just your interests? What hidden truths or unique opportunities might be waiting there, ready to be discovered and transformed into something entirely new, moving from 0 to 1?